Lyra sat on the high balcony of her home, looking down at the glowing city of her people. The towers shone in the night, the air smelled of flowers, and the voices of laughter echoed through the streets, yet inside her heart there was only silence. She slowly looked at her wrist, the silver band that had been there since birth. It was supposed to glow when her soulmate came near. It was supposed to answer the question of who she belonged to. But for 20 years, it had stayed dull and cold. Every alien she knew had already found their partner. Their bands lit up in school, in markets, in ceremonies. Some bands even glowed when two children touched by accident. People celebrated when their bands awakened, songs were sung, families rejoiced. But Lyra had only watched, her band never changed. Her friends whispered about her behind her back. They called her cursed, unlucky, unwanted. Her family tried to comfort her, but even their eyes carried hidden shame. She pressed her palm against the band, feeling the smooth metal. It had never warmed, never sparked, never given her the thrill of destiny. The elders had told her to be patient. They said the band never lied, it would glow one day. But the years felt heavy, and hope was fading. Sometimes she wished she could break it off, free herself from the endless waiting. Tonight the stars were brighter. A storm of light was streaking across the sky. Strange fire in the heavens. Everyone was looking up, pointing, whispering. A ship was landing. Not one of theirs, not of any neighbor species. It was a human ship. Humans were new to the galaxy, curious explorers. Fragile bodies but strange hearts. Some aliens admired them, others feared them. Lyra had never seen one with her own eyes. Only stories, only images. She leaned forward as the ship touched down in the city's square. Crowds gathered, the elders walked out in their robes, soldiers stood ready. A ramp opened with a hiss. The first figure stepped down. Lyra froze. Her chest tightened, her wrist burned. She looked down and saw a faint spark flicker across her band. Her breath caught. For 20 years there had been nothing. Now in this moment, there was light. The crowd gasped at the humans, but Lyra heard nothing. Her eyes locked on the tall figure with dark hair. His eyes scanned the square with quiet wonder. His steps were careful, respectful. He looked so different from her people. Yet something in him pulled at her soul. The band glowed faintly again. Like an ember refusing to die, she pressed her other hand against it, her heart racing. "No," she whispered. "It cannot be." The idea was impossible. Humans were not part of their bonds. No alien had ever triggered a band outside their kind. The elders said it was destiny, unbreakable, pure. But her wrist trembled with every step the human took closer. She tried to hide it, wrapping her cloak around her arm. Fear clawed at her. If anyone saw the glow, they would laugh, they would accuse, they would say she was desperate. They would call her a liar. The human raised his head, and for a single moment, his eyes met hers. Lyra felt the band pulse with warmth. Brighter this time, she quickly turned away, her chest heaving. She could not breathe. Could it be true? Was this stranger from another world her soulmate? The city roared with excitement. The elders welcomed the humans. Speeches began. But Lyra could not hear a single word. Her band was alive, whispering something she did not understand. She felt as if her entire life had been waiting for this night. The whispers of her people returned to her mind. The laughter, the insults, the pity. For years she had been the cursed one, the forgotten one. But now destiny was knocking at her door, and it came in the form of a human. She stepped back into the shadows, trembling, afraid yet strangely drawn. If her band was right, then everything her people believed was about to change. And if she was wrong, then her heart would be broken beyond repair. Either way, nothing would ever be the same again. Ethan stepped off the ramp with steady breath. His boots pressed against alien stone, the air of a new world filling his chest. He had traveled across stars with his crew, but something about this planet felt different. The colors were sharper. The sounds carried strange music, and the faces that stared at him held both fear and curiosity. He adjusted the strap of his bag and followed the elder who welcomed them. His eyes moved across the crowd, searching not for danger, but for stories. For him, every new planet was a book waiting to be opened. He saw tall figures with glowing wristbands, each pulsing with strange light. He wondered what they meant, but he did not ask. Respect was always the first step. Among the faces he caught a glimpse of someone who did not belong to the noise. A young woman, half hidden in the shadows, her eyes wide as if she had seen a ghost. Ethan felt a strange pull. He did not know why. But the moment their eyes met, something tightened in his chest. Lyra's hand pressed against her cloak, hiding. The band that had begun to flicker, her heart pounded like a drum. She dared not look again. But the heat on her wrist told her the truth. It was him, the human, the impossible, she whispered inside her mind. Why you? Why now? The ceremony continued. The humans offered greetings, gifts of knowledge, and promises of peace. The elders spoke of friendship and trade. The crowd cheered, yet Lyra heard none of it. Every time Ethan's voice echoed across the square, her band glowed faintly, as if responding to him alone. Later, when the crowds thinned, Lyra walked quickly through the quiet streets. She thought she was alone, but she heard footsteps behind her. She turned sharply, and there he was, Ethan. His expression was calm, almost curious. He raised his hand politely. "I am sorry," he said gently. "I did not mean to startle you." Lyra's throat tightened. She wanted to walk away, to run. But his voice carried no threat, no mockery. It was soft, like water over stone. She forced herself to reply, "You should not follow me." Ethan tilted his head. "I am not following. I only noticed you in the crowd. You looked like you wanted to disappear." Her chest ached. The glow under her cloak burned brighter. She clenched her arm. "You saw nothing," she whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan frowned slightly. "I saw light." "On your wrist. Is it something dangerous? Are you hurt?" Her eyes widened. She had hoped he had not noticed. "It is nothing," she lied. But the band betrayed her. Pulsing once more in the quiet street, the glow lit the edge of her cloak. Ethan's eyes softened, not with fear but with wonder. "It is beautiful," he said quietly. Lyra shook her head. "It is cursed. It should never glow for you." Ethan took a small step back, giving her space. He did not laugh, did not argue. He only asked, "Why not for me?" She turned away, her voice bitter. "Because you are human. You do not belong to this bond." No alien ever triggered it before. It cannot be real. For a moment there was silence, only the sound of night wind between the towers. Then Ethan said softly, "Maybe your people do not know everything about destiny." The word struck her. Like lightning, simple, calm, yet heavy with meaning. No one had ever spoken to her like that. Everyone else mocked, pitied, or judged. But this human spoke as if he believed in something beyond rules. Lyra felt her throat tighten. She wanted to tell him everything, the years of silence, the shame, the laughter. But fear chained her tongue. If she admitted it, if she let herself believe, the world she knew would collapse. Ethan gave her a small smile. "You do not have to explain. I only wanted you to know that I will not mock you. Whatever that band means, it is not a curse. At least not to me." She looked at him, truly looked. His eyes were not like her people's. They carried warmth, not judgment. For the first time in her life, someone saw her not as broken, not as cursed, but simply as herself. Her band pulsed brighter. She gasped and pulled her cloak tighter. "Stay away," she whispered, and ran into the night, leaving him standing alone. Ethan watched her disappear into the shadows. He touched his chest where the strange tightness still lingered. He could not explain it, but he knew one thing. That girl, whoever she was, carried a secret worth protecting, and deep inside his heart, he felt that their paths would cross again, no matter how hard she tried to run. The next days in the city were filled with noise and movement. The humans met with elders, studied the markets, shared their tools, and spoke of friendship. Most aliens watched with curiosity, some with fear. But for Lyra, every moment was a storm. Her band pulsed each time Ethan came near, even when she hid far away. It betrayed her silence. It betrayed her fear. She avoided him. Yet her heart ached when she did not see him. She told herself it was wrong, impossible, dangerous, but still. The glow returned, brighter with each passing day. Her people whispered more loudly. They noticed her absence. They noticed her cloak pulled too tightly. They said the cursed girl had found a new shame, one evening she could no longer endure. She walked toward the quiet gardens beyond the towers, hoping to breathe without being watched. But when she stepped under the tall crystal trees, he was already there. Ethan sat near the fountain, sketching in a small book. His eyes lifted when he heard her steps. He smiled, not surprised, as if he had been waiting. "You came," he said simply. Lyra froze. "I should not be here," she whispered. Her voice shook with the weight of her fear. "Then why are you?" Ethan asked, not harshly but gently. His question carried no trap, only truth. Her cloak slipped as her hand trembled. The band gleamed faintly. Ethan's eyes caught the glow. But still he did not laugh. He only closed his book and stood slowly, keeping distance so she would not feel trapped. "I do not know why," she admitted. "I should run, but I cannot. The band burns every time you are near. It is not supposed to be this way." Ethan stepped closer, but not too close. "Maybe it is supposed to be this way, even if no one understands." Her chest tightened. She thought of the elders, their strict voices, their laws. The bond was sacred, unbreakable, perfect. Yet here she stood, her soulmate band alive in the presence of a human, something every tradition denied. "You do not understand," she said, her words sharp with pain. "If they see us, if they know, they will call me liar. They will cast me out, or worse, they will try to tear this bond apart." Ethan's eyes darkened with thought. He looked at the glowing band, then at her face. "Do you want me to go?" he asked quietly. The question pierced her heart. Did she want him gone? Was her life safer without him? Perhaps. But the silence that would follow, the return to emptiness, felt heavier than any danger. "No," she whispered, almost to herself. "I do not want you to go." For a long moment they stood there, the fountain whispering between them. The glow of the band reflected in the water, soft and alive. Lyra finally sat on the stone edge, covering her face. "I do not even know you," she said weakly. Ethan sat a careful distance away. "Then know me, ask me anything." She looked at him through her fingers. His voice was calm, steady. The fear in her heart did not vanish, but it was quieter when he spoke. She asked simple things. "Where do you come from? Why do you travel so far?" He told her of Earth, of blue oceans, green forests, cities filled with light. He spoke of music and laughter, of mistakes and hope. His words painted pictures she had never seen, and yet they felt alive. She found herself smiling, then quickly hiding it. "You listen," she said softly. "No one ever listened like this." Ethan tilted his head. "Maybe no one ever saw you the way I do." Her heart leapt. The band pulsed brighter. She hid her wrist, terrified that someone might appear and see. But no one came. Only the stars above and the water below witnessed the forbidden meeting. For nights after that they met in secret, sometimes in the gardens, sometimes in quiet alleys. They spoke of little things, shared stories, laughed softly. Lyra began to forget her curse. Her smile returned, her laughter echoed. For the first time she felt alive, but peace was fragile. One night, as they walked near the edge of the city, a shadow followed. An elder had seen them together. The old eyes narrowed in disbelief as the faint glow of her band betrayed her. The elder said nothing then, but Lyra felt the chill of danger. She returned home trembling, Ethan's face heavy with worry. "They will know," she whispered. "They will take this from me. They will take you from me." Ethan placed his hand over his chest. "No one can take what is real, not even your elders." His words gave her strength, but fear still gnawed at her soul. Destiny had awakened her band. Yet destiny was about to test her with fire. The whispers spread quickly through the city. Some said they saw Lyra walking with the human. Others claimed her cursed band had started to glow. Rumors carried like fire, reaching even the ears of the elders. The council gathered in the great hall, their faces grim. They had to protect tradition. They had to protect the law. Lyra was summoned. She stood in the circle of stone, her cloak pulled tight, the band hidden beneath. Dozens of eyes stared at her, filled with judgment. "You have been seen with the human," one elder said, his voice sharp. "And they say your band has betrayed you. Show us the truth." Her heart pounded. She shook her head. "It is nothing," she whispered. "The band is broken. It has always been broken." The crowd murmured, disbelief and anger mixing in the air. The eldest among them raised her hand. "Then you will undergo the trial of truth," she declared. "If your bond is real, the band will shine before all. If it is false, it will fade forever," Lyra gasped. The trial was sacred. It had revealed soulmates for generations. Couples stood before the city, touched hands, and their bands glowed as proof of destiny. She had watched countless ceremonies, never believing she would stand there herself. Now the thought of doing so with a human made her blood run cold. They dragged her to the center of the square. A great fire burned, lighting the faces of hundreds gathered. One by one, couples were called. Their bands glowed in beautiful colors. Blue, gold, crimson. The people cheered. Families cried with joy. But Lyra trembled, hidden in the shadows, waiting for her turn. Finally her name was called. The elder's voice cut through the night. "Lyra, step forward." She walked slowly. Her legs weak, her cloak felt heavy, her band burned beneath it. She looked out into the crowd and saw Ethan, standing at the edge, guarded by soldiers. His eyes met hers, calm but full of worry. He nodded slightly, as if to say she was not alone. The elder pointed. "Reveal your band, let the truth be seen." With shaking hands she pulled back her cloak. Gasps spread as the faint glow flickered across the silver band. Some laughed cruelly. "It glows for the human," someone shouted. "She lies to us. She mocks our tradition." The elder raised his staff. "Bring forth the human." Ethan was pushed into the circle, his face calm, though his heart raced. He had never felt so many eyes on him. He stood beside Lyra, taller, strange, alien among aliens. The elder sneered. "If destiny is true, then let this bond show itself. If not, let it be broken." The crowd went silent, only the fire crackled. Lyra's hands shook. She whispered, "Do not touch me. If it fails, they will destroy us." Ethan looked at her, his voice low. "If it is real, then nothing can break it. If it is false, then at least we will know the truth." Her eyes filled with tears. Fear pressed against her chest. But something stronger rose within her. For years she had lived in silence, mocked, unwanted. Now she had a chance to stand. She lifted her trembling hand. Ethan reached out gently. Their fingers brushed. In an instant, the band exploded with light. A brilliant fire of silver and gold blazed across her wrist, brighter than anyone had ever seen. The crowd gasped. Some fell to their knees. The fire spread from her wrist to his hand, wrapping them both in a soft glow. The connection pulsed like a heartbeat, undeniable, living, real. The elder stumbled back, his eyes wide. This cannot be," he whispered, but the people could see. They could feel the truth in the air. Some cheered, voices rising in awe. "Destiny chose beyond species," they cried. Others shouted in anger. "Blasphemy, corruption, this is no bond of the ancestors." Lyra looked at Ethan, tears streaming down her face. For the first time in her life, she felt whole. Her band no longer mocked her. It sang. It burned with truth. She whispered, "It is real." Ethan squeezed her hand. "Then nothing else matters." But even as the light slowly dimmed to a steady glow, shadows moved among the crowd. Not all were ready to accept what they had seen. Some whispered of exile, of punishment, of blood. Lyra and Ethan stood together. In the circle, their hands locked. As the city divided before their eyes, The trial had given its answer, but the war for acceptance had only begun. The fire of the trial still burned in the minds of the people. Some spoke of it with awe, saying destiny had shown them a truth greater than any tradition. Others spat in anger, refusing to believe that a human could stand within the sacred bond. The city was divided, and whispers turned into arguments. Arguments turned into shouts. Lyra walked through the streets with her cloak drawn tight. Her band glowed even when she tried to cover it. She could feel eyes watching her, some filled with curiosity, some with admiration, but many burned with hate. They muttered as she passed, "Cursed girl." Shame of the people, liar. Ethan did not leave her side. He stood tall, though he was a stranger in their world. Every glance of hatred that fell on her, he carried as if it was his own. He spoke little, but his presence was a shield. The elders called another meeting. Their voices clashed like thunder. Some argued the bond was undeniable, a miracle they must honor. Others demanded punishment. They said the bond was false, a trick, or worse, a danger to their traditions. One elder slammed his staff, shouting, "If we allow this, what will become of our kind? The sacred order will crumble." Lyra sat silently at the edge of the hall, Ethan at her side. She felt the weight of the entire city pressing down on her. Her heart wanted to scream, but her voice failed. It was Ethan who finally spoke, his words steady. "I did not ask for this bond, but I will not run from it either. If your destiny chose me, then it is not mine to refuse." The hall erupted in noise. Some shouted for exile, some demanded death. Only a few voices tried to defend them. The council ended in chaos. No decision reached, but the storm outside had grown darker. That night, as Lyra and Ethan walked through the quiet streets, stones suddenly struck the ground near them. A group of young aliens stood in the shadows, faces twisted with anger. "Go back to your world, human," one hissed. "You are not welcome here," another pointed at Lyra. "And you, cursed one, you shame us all." Ethan stepped in front of her, his voice calm. "We do not want trouble." But the stones kept flying. One struck his shoulder. Lyra cried out. Her band glowed fiercely as if trying to shield him. The attackers stepped back for a moment, frightened by the light. But their eyes promised more to come. They vanished into the night, leaving silence heavy in the air. Lyra touched Ethan's arm, her voice trembling. "They will hurt you. They will never stop." Ethan looked at her and shook his head. "Then let them try. I will not leave you." The days grew heavier. Crowds argued in the markets. Families split over the truth of the bond. Soldiers began patrolling the streets, not for safety, but to watch them. Wherever Lyra and Ethan went, eyes followed, some hopeful, some hateful. Despite the danger, their bond grew stronger. In the quiet of the gardens, they spoke of dreams. Lyra told him of her childhood, of years spent waiting for the band to glow. Ethan told her of Earth, of simple meals with his family, of skies filled with birds. They found comfort in each other's stories, yet even in those moments of peace, the storm never left. One evening, Lyra's father came to her in secret, his face worn with sorrow. "My daughter," he whispered, "I cannot protect you anymore. The council plans to strip you of your place. They want to send you away, and the human too." Tears filled her eyes. She begged, "Please do not let them." But her father only shook his head. "I am old. My voice is small. The storm is too strong." He touched her cheek softly. "But remember, whatever they do, the bond is real. Hold it close, even if the world rejects it." That night, Lyra and Ethan sat together by the fountain. She told him of the council's plans. Her voice shook. "They will exile us or worse." Ethan's hand closed around hers, firm, unyielding. "Then we leave before they can." Her eyes widened. "Leave the city," she whispered. Ethan nodded. "If they cannot accept us, then we will find a place that can, somewhere in the stars. Somewhere the bond will not be called a curse." Lyra hesitated, fear and hope clashing inside her. She looked at the glowing band, steady and warm. For so many years it had been silent, and now it guided her forward. She took a deep breath. Yes, she said softly. We leave together. But in the shadows of the garden, hidden eyes watched them, the news of their plan would not remain secret. The storm was rising, and soon it would break with all its fury. The night was heavy with silence. Lyra and Ethan prepared to leave the city. They moved quietly through the narrow alleys, her cloak wrapped tightly, his steps careful but steady. The plan was simple: reach the outer gates before dawn, find a small craft, and disappear into the stars. Yet nothing about Destiny was simple. The glow of her band guided them like a flame, steady and warm, but it also betrayed them. Soldiers had been ordered to watch, to stop them. To many, their bond was not a miracle, but a threat. As they neared the gates, shadows rose from the corners, a dozen figures stepping forward, their eyes cold, their weapons drawn. There will be no escape, one of the guards hissed. The council has decided. The bond must be broken. The human must not live. Lyra's heart froze. She stepped in front of Ethan, her voice breaking. Please, he is not your enemy. The bond is real. Destiny chose him. The soldiers laughed bitterly. Destiny would never choose a human. They raised their blades, the firelight glinting against steel. Ethan pulled her behind him, his stance firm. He had no weapon, no armor, only courage. If you want her, you go through me first, he said, his voice low, unshaken. The soldiers charged. Chaos filled the street. Ethan pushed Lyra aside and blocked the first strike with his arm. Pain shot through him, but he did not fall. Another soldier swung. Ethan ducked, grabbed a piece of broken stone, and struck back. His movements were clumsy but fierce. Lyra screamed, her band blazing like a star. The light burst outward, forcing some soldiers to stumble back. Their eyes widened in fear. The bond protects them, one whispered. But others only grew angrier. Kill them both. A blade cut across Ethan's side. He staggered, blood spreading across his shirt. Lyra cried out, rushing to his side, her hands trembling as she tried to hold him up. Stay with me, she begged, tears burning her eyes. Ethan gritted his teeth, forcing himself to stand. I will not let them take you, he whispered. His body shook, but he raised the stone again, protecting her with the last of his strength. The soldiers closed in, their anger blinding them. But then the band erupted, brighter than ever before. A wave of silver fire spread across the square, knocking the soldiers back. The ground itself trembled with the power. Lyra held Ethan tightly, her tears falling onto his wounds. The light wrapped around him, warm and alive. Slowly, the bleeding slowed, the wounds closing before her eyes. The crowd that had gathered gasped in disbelief. They had never seen a band heal before. The soldiers staggered to their feet, fear clear in their eyes. One dropped his weapon, whispering, "It is true. The bond is real." Others turned and fled, unable to face the power they had denied. Lyra pressed her forehead against Ethan's, her voice shaking. "You nearly died for me." Ethan gave a weak smile, his voice faint. "I would do it again." Her heart broke and healed all at once. For years she had been cursed, alone, mocked. But here, in his arms, she found the meaning of her band. It was not just light, it was love, sacrifice, and strength. The people who remained watched in silence. Some knelt, some whispered prayers. The power of the bond had shown them a truth greater than law. The elders who had ordered their capture stood speechless, their authority shaken. Lyra rose, still holding Ethan's hand. Her band glowed steady, no longer flickering, but shining with calm fire. She faced the elders, her voice clear. "You called me cursed. You said Destiny would never choose him. But Destiny has spoken, and it gave me a human who was willing to die for me." No one answered. The silence was louder than any cry. Ethan leaned against her, weak but alive, the bond's power still humming through his body. Lyra held him close, every heartbeat reminding her of the sacrifice he had made. That night changed everything. The bond could no longer be denied. But the battle for acceptance was far from over. The storm had broken. But the war for their place in the stars was only beginning. The dawn came slowly over the city. Golden light touched the towers, but the people did not wake with peace. They woke with questions, whispers, and fear. The night before had shaken everything. The bond between Lyra and Ethan had burned like fire, and no one could pretend it was false anymore. Lyra walked through the streets, Ethan leaning on her arm. His body was weak but alive, healed partly by the glow of her band. The people moved aside as they passed. Some bowed in respect, others turned away in anger. The city was divided still, but silence followed them wherever they went. The council summoned them again. The great hall was crowded. Elders sat on high seats, their robes heavy with tradition. One elder's voice echoed, "What happened last night cannot be denied. Your band healed the human. It shone with power we have never seen. But many still ask, is this destiny or disaster?" Lyra's voice shook but did not break. "For years you called me cursed. You said my band was dead. Yet it waited for him, and when he came, it awakened. You saw the truth with your own eyes. You cannot call it false." Another elder struck the floor with his staff. "And yet he is human. If we accept this bond, we accept that destiny crosses species, that changes everything." The hall murmured, voices clashing. Some shouted that the bond was sacred. Others cried it was dangerous. Ethan listened quietly, then stepped forward. His voice was calm but strong. "I did not come here to break your laws. I came as a guest. But if your destiny chose me, then I will honor it. I will not turn away from her, even if your whole world does." His words echoed like thunder. Some hearts softened, others hardened. The debate went on until the eldest among them rose. Her eyes were tired but clear. "Destiny is not ours to command," she said. "We may not understand why it chose him, but the band does not lie. To deny it would be to deny the very power that guides us." The hall fell into silence. Then slowly, heads began to bow. Not all, but many. Some accepted, others still burned with anger. Yet the truth had been spoken. After the council, Lyra and Ethan stood alone in the gardens. The crystal trees shimmered in the morning light. Lyra looked at her band, glowing softly. "No longer a curse, no longer silent. All my life I waited for this," she whispered. "I thought I was broken, unwanted. But it was only waiting for you." Ethan smiled faintly, still weak but filled with warmth. "And I never thought I would find something like this out here among the stars." He touched her wrist gently, the glow flaring brighter. "I guess destiny has a strange sense of humor." She laughed through tears. The sound was free, unbroken. For the first time in her life, her laughter was not mocked. It was celebrated by the glow of the band. She leaned against him, feeling safe, whole. But the world around them was not yet healed. Some still hated, some still feared. They knew their path would not be easy, yet they also knew that the bond had already survived mockery, violence, and blood. It would survive anything else. That evening, as the sun dipped low, people gathered once more in the square. Not by order, but by curiosity. They watched as Lyra and Ethan walked hand in hand. The glow of the band lit the space between them, steady, alive, undeniable. Children whispered with wonder, "Their bond shines brighter than all the others." An elder finally bowed before them, saying softly, "Perhaps destiny has chosen to teach us that love is larger than our walls." Others joined, some hesitant, some willing, step by step. The storm quieted. Not everyone accepted, but many did. The first seeds of change had been planted. Lyra looked at Ethan, her eyes wet with tears of joy. "We are not cursed," she whispered. "We are chosen." Ethan squeezed her hand, his. "Smile gentle, then let us walk forward, wherever destiny leads." And together they did. Two souls bound by a light no one could deny. A bond that defied tradition, a love that crossed stars. Their journey was only beginning, but they would walk it side by side. For Lyra, the band that once shamed her had become her crown. For Ethan, the bond that once frightened the world had become his strength. And for both of them, It was proof that sometimes the greatest miracles are born when hearts refuse to obey fear. As the night fell and the stars rose high above, the city watched them, some with hope, some with doubt, but all with silence, for destiny had spoken. And it had chosen the most unlikely pair. The cursed girl was cursed no longer. The human stranger was a stranger no more. And together they carried the light of the eternal bond.